I want to talk about how how AI art is actually attacked by most people because they don't really understand art. And so when AI comes into play, it makes people feel like art itself is being eradicated or replaced. But art itself, the thing, the core, cannot be attacked. That is unassailable. And it's possible that there can be no art, but for art to be impossible that that can't happen. You know, art is not replaced so much so as it's on the it is changed on the surface. So let me explain what art really is. Um, Art is a way to explore the reality that was not permitted to occur. It is to explore the internal side of life that was stuck in the internal, that wasn't allowed to take shape because of the ego, right? The ego prevented one from acting on their internal inclination. And so you might say that art explores the unconsciousness. And that is to say. Now, something very confusing happens here, which is that consciousness itself is not, for an artist, uh, opposed to the unconsciousness, right? The ego opposes the unconsciousness, but the consciousness of an artist actually grows the unconsciousness, takes the unconsciousness in new directions that it hadn't gone before. And so, what is the consciousness is the representations of what's internal, but for an artist, that consciousness, those representations are actually um, tools for the unconsciousness to be further explored. And for most people, those representations are things that must reoccur. So when the normal person is conscious, most of the time they're thinking, say, about how what they want in life, how much money they have, how much money they would like, how much money they fear they might have, so on and so forth. And these conscious representations are not so much tools to see the reality, but tools to see actually their status. The consciousness of a normal person orbits around their own status. And the reason that I'm saying art cannot be attacked is because the more ways an artist has to explore the reality, or rather to represent the reality, the more ways that they have to create art. And the primary worry for an artist about AI is it really is it necessary? Is it actually are those representations truly representations, or are they just random images? How do you interpret those images rather than thinking of the AI as replacing the art? And so an artist, no matter what, is looking to explore the unexplored. They're looking to explore the unconscious that was not permitted to them. And the AI is only a tool that could or could not be used. Now, let me explain why the average person whose consciousness is really an ego, conceptualized as a threat on art, standing. Let me explain also why artists will raise their voices against AI, because it floods the market and makes it very difficult for an artist's work to be given the time. So, for the average person, art is like any other form of work. It is something that is the result of a person's need for status, a person's need for identification. To the average person, an artist seems like somebody who creates their art so that they will be seen as an artist. And this is not the case, right? The artist's consciousness does not revolve around their own status as an artist. The consciousness of an artist is generative. It leads to further unconsciousness, which is not to say that they're aware of less, but actually that they're aware of more and more and more. And these tools that AI gives is a problem for artists, not in that it makes it impossible for them to make art, but that it is impossible for them to be seen as artists. Artists don't want necessarily to be seen as artists, but of course there's always that temptation, I think, for most artists to have that egoistic consciousness, even if it's not really their consciousness. But let me start with saying that artists consume art differently than non artists. The average person consuming art is somebody who is engaging with a certain identity, and it's a very interesting identity. It's an identity that involves um, a lot of experience and hardship and interesting emotions. And that identity it involves their own identity. It helps them shape their own identity. Artists give the average person a way to develop their own ego, maybe in a pleasant way, but still it's the ego. And an artist uses other people's art as if it's their own. And that's to say that they are using other people's art to explore the unconscious, just as they would use their own art to explore their own unconscious. And and so when AI comes along and AI is creating a lot of art, well, the average person who consumed art before now doesn't have this presence to really experience.